dreams, big ideas, and a doomed love. So, is Inception possible? During the course of this video, we're going to look into the story, the logic, and then decide if this movie makes any sense. As with all these videos, there will be spoilers ahead. Inception is a movie directed by Christopher Nolan and follows Dom Cobb, a skilled thief who specializes in extracting secrets from deep within the subconscious through dream infiltration. When he's offered the chance to have his criminal record cleared, if he can accomplish the seemingly impossible task of inception, implanting an idea into a target's mind without them realizing it, he snaps at the chance knowing it will allow him to see his children again. So he assembles a team and navigates through multiple layers of dreams, of which the boundaries between reality and illusion blur, all whilst he struggles with guilt and haunting memories of his late wife, Mal. The film explores themes of perception, memory, and the subconscious mind. Inception was written by Nolan himself over the course of 9 to 10 years. Although Nolan had thought of the idea back in 2001, he thought that to really make this movie come to life, he needed a really big budget and more experience as a director, which is why The Dark Knight was so crucial for this film. The huge financial and critical success allowed him to have more freedom when it came to making this movie. Whilst the film is not based on a novel or existing material, it is highly influenced by The Matrix and Blade Runner. But perhaps the most influential thing for Inception is the Satoshi Kon movie, Paprika. They have shared imagery, similar dream technology, and the themes of subconscious exploration. And it wouldn't be the first time that a millennial filmmaker has borrowed from Kon's work, with Darren Aronofsky consistently borrowing from the master filmmaker. The way Nolan has described his key characters is rather fascinating because it actually plays into the creative process behind filmmaking itself. He says the point man is the producer, the architect is the production manager, the forger is the actor, the extractor, being Cobb, is the director, so aka Christopher Nolan, and lastly, the mark is the audience themselves. He stated that he wrote Inception as a reflection of his own artistic life, with Cobb being a reflection of himself directly. A man who gets lost in his job whilst creating movies, fighting to reconnect with reality and go back to his family. Which is all very interesting stuff and gives the movie an even deeper layer. So this film isn't based on a book and is totally fictional, despite borrowing from other films. So we don't need to explore how accurate the film is, which would be a first in this series. And you know what? That allows us to quickly move on to the logic behind the film, because again, for the first time in the series, the logic is going to severely gulf the premise. But before we do that, here's a fun fact. DiCaprio was not Nolan's first choice for the role. Brad Pitt was actually his first choice, but allegedly the director gave Brad Pitt just 48 hours to read the script and make a decision. And since Brad Pitt isn't Cobb in the film, I guess a decision was made. His second choice was Will Smith, who would have been an interesting choice and maybe even better than DiCaprio and Pitt. Considering Will Smith's characters always seem to have a dead wife in his films, this would have made the casting even better. But this film was made during a hiatus in Smith's career. Between £7 in 2008 and Men in Black 3 in 2012, Smith did not make a film. Inception began filming in 2009, so this makes perfect sense. However, I'm still rooting for Inception 2 with Will Smith. For me, the logic is where this movie is made. Now let's caveat everything by saying this, of course, is sci-fi and also not based on existing material. So the movie can do anything it wants, essentially. It's a world that Nolan has created and thusly, he can do anything within the sandbox. And let's, off the bat, say that I shan't be critiquing anything that happens in the dream world within this movie, because that in itself would be ridiculous. Within a dream, anything is possible, and it's not real. I shall, however, be scrutinizing everything that happens in the real world, starting with this guy, the point man, or as is known in the film, Sato.
If you can steal an idea from someone's mind, why can't you plant one there instead?
This is the man who puts everything into play. Effectively, what he wants is for Cobb to sabotage a rival company's plans so that his company can thrive even further. As well-chosen plots go, it's hardly that dramatic, which is a testament to Nolan because it keeps you gripped nonetheless. Essentially, the movie is a plot about company espionage. So, yes, firstly, company espionage is a real thing in the real world. In fact, just 4 years prior to this movie's release, 3 individuals were arrested for attempting to sell trade secrets from Coca-Cola to its rival, PepsiCo. However, PepsiCo alerted Coca-Cola about the offer, and an investigation led to the suspects being arrested by the FBI. And that is just a high-case example. Company espionage is very common within businesses. But the higher up you go in terms of the global strength of a company, the more nefarious the acts of the company espionage will go. In this movie, Sato's company is said to be so powerful that it's able to influence the whole of the American government. Because in return for the act that Cobb will do, Sato will wipe Cobb's criminal record, allowing him to go back to America without fear of being arrested. So, Sato must be super powerful. Obviously, I can't say this for sure, but I don't think our friend Elon Musk has that kind of power. Well, maybe he does. But the point stands that Sato's company must be one of the most powerful companies in the world. So they would most likely want to attain the services of Cobb and his futuristic methods of influencing people. However, we need to explore why Cobb can't go back to America without being arrested. Cobb is accused of killing his wife Mal, despite this moment where she clearly jumped. And I'm sure in this world that Christopher Nolan's created, there's CCTV, but we're going to move on. But this is all because she left behind a letter falsely accusing Cobb of being a threat to her life and tempered with evidence, making it seem as if though he had the motive to kill her. Now, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I work in any form of law enforcement, but this really has no logic to it. A woman who jumped to her own demise and left a random note where she alleges he tampered with evidence is surely not enough to convict him. An arrest? Yes, I can believe that. Followed by a series of probing questions? Yes, again, I believe this. A conviction? No. I mean, does anyone remember this? I didn't see him being convicted at all. Also, it says something about the character that he's willing to leave his kids and swan around the world rather than deal with the issue at hand. Cobb has money, as we see from his extortionately exorbitant house. I mean, look at his suits. He has plenty of money, nothing that Johnny Cochran couldn't have handled. Although Mr. Cochran had passed away 5 years before this film was released, so he wouldn't have been available for this particular case.
Fit? If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
However, Cobb could have literally hired the best lawyers in America to help him beat that case. Leaving your kids to prance around the world doesn't seem like the logical choice, which kind of renders his motives as false. Lastly on this, if Sato is able to wipe his criminal record clean, allowing him to see his kids, that says so much about Sato himself. What if Cobb did unalive his own wife? Sato is just allowing him to see his kids even though he's quite clearly a murderer. Now, Sato's actions and motives in this movie are beyond questionable. But we'll move on from this, as I could delve further into this from a legal standpoint as well as really dig deep into how Sato could have so much power as to erase a criminal record. But that would just be purely speculative, and we're looking at facts. Next up is the technology. So the person wears these contraptions and then they enter into the other person's dream. So I shan't pick this apart fully because, again, it's sci-fi and honestly, it's fine if you make a car like this and it time travels. And I'm not going to be pedantic in this video. So we'll let that slide. And from a modern day standpoint, Right now, humans have the ability to monitor dreams and even influence them. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, and electrical brain stimulation can influence the brain activity. Scientists have even made limited progress in decoding dreams by analyzing brain activity and attempting to reconstruct visual images from the mind. And these feats in science are very impressive.
I don't see why you couldn't just give me a pill to keep me from dreaming.
Everyone's got to dream, young lady. If you don't dream, you go.
The thing is though, if you were to enter another person's brain, you'd most likely be overwhelmed and very scared. Nolan actually originally wanted Inception to be a horror movie, and you can tell why. The idea of entering someone's dreams is actually, when you stop to think about it, very scary. It's like entering a vortex. If you've seen the movie Enter the Void by Gaspar Noé, that might give you an idea of the hellish landscape, nightmarish visions that could arise from such an adventure. It is highly likely that the dreamer would have full control over you, rather than the other way around. But let's stick to the film's logic here and say that the technology is totally plausible, because again, this is sci-fi. Let's instead focus on this guy.
I never taught you to be a thief.
Stephen Miles, a college professor in Paris, played by the wonderful Michael Caine. He's also the father-in-law to Cobb. But hang on, let's step back a moment, because this part of the movie always confused me. Is he based in Paris? If so, why at the end of the film is he not in Paris, but in the home of Cobb? In fact, who actually looks after Cobb's children? Where are they? In fact, who the hell is Stephen Miles? Is he Mal's father? This part of the movie always made no sense to me. I had to ask ChatGPT, and it said, wait, what? So it had me stumped for a good 5 minutes. How can he be a father-in-law, but not Mal's father? Does Cobb have another wife? So I just had to ask ChatGPT again. And this happened. What? What the absolute f***? How can ChatGPT misspeak? How can any AI misspeak? How can anything not human speak? Can a dog speak? Can a computer speak? I'm scared and confused at the same time, but we're going to move on. And I'm definitely even more confused. So I had to ask more questions to ChatGPT. Like, for example, who looks after Cobb's kids? What the hell? This is now making even less sense. So let's get this right. So Stephen Miles is Mal's father, which in itself makes no logical sense. Why does Mal have such a strong French accent and her dad have such a strong Cockney accent? Okay, we'll forget that. But if Miles looks after Cobb's kids in Paris, why does he need to return to America? His kids aren't in America. Have I missed something? ChatGPT. Who looks after Cobb's kids? I'm sorry. No. This makes no sense. If I had kids, I don't. But if I did, and I wanted to be with them, but I was facing loose legal charges, however, I fled the country and my kids were in Paris, why would I not just resume my life in Paris with my kids? That literally makes no sense. So this scene at the end of the movie, when he's going into the home, Miles took the kids all the way from Paris to America just so we can get this gorgeous ending shot. But why, when in Paris, didn't Cobb see his kids? Why did he go and see Miles and recruit this character when his bloody kids were in Paris all along? I had to ask ChatGPT one last thing. What the That does not mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. This is the biggest load of BS I've ever seen. He is avoiding them due to his guilt over his wife Mal's death and the unresolved emotional trauma associated with it. But he didn't bloody do it. So why does he feel guilt? Now, I understand. I have seen the film. I know that he felt guilty because he kind of enslaved her and made her believe she was stuck in that dream world they created together. I get that. That doesn't explain everything else that's happening with the kids. And why does he, after completing a mission to make an already mega rich, ethically and morally defunct trillionaire, to make even more money, does he now feel less guilty? Because this questionable individual has committed a further act of crime by removing his criminal record. How does that make him less filled with guilt for the crime he didn't commit in the first place? By creating another crime, by perpetrating a real crime. In fact, he's committed a massive crime by completing his job of criminal espionage, all in the name of undoing a crime he didn't commit in the first place, to make himself guilt-free. How does that even make any sense at all? What the
You know what? I'm done. It's fine. I'm calm now. It's fine. It's fine. It's ridiculous. 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 Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I cannot believe. Stupid. Oh my god. Stupid film. Stupid. I'm done here. I'm done here. I can't take this. This is ridiculous. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm done.
Fun fact number 2. This movie allegedly, although after just going through the illogicality of the criminal plot, I'm not really sure if anything in this movie really makes any sense anymore if I believe the filmmaker. But yeah, it apparently, so the director says, used mostly practical effects instead of computer graphics. It only used about 500 visual effects shots. Again, I don't believe this now based on everything I've just learned.
Those kids, your grandchildren, they're waiting for their father to come back home. That's their reality. And this job, this last job, that's how I get there. I would not be standing here if I knew any other way.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm still reeling. I am still furious. Well, normally here, I would be quite cogent and break down why the plot is not possible. I would be willing to have a nuanced analysis as to why certain things can't happen and why certain things can happen. But I simply can't. I am infuriated.
Okay, deep breaths. Sam. Okay, listen. Let's try and break this down logically. Okay, let's do this. Let me get back to doing it logically.
Let's be logical and break this down, shall we? So you can probably tell from the tone of my voice, I don't have the answers to some of these movie questions going into the actual analysis and the script writing process. I don't sit there and plot things out before I start writing the script. I analyze, I research, and I put things together as I go along.
Still really, I'm still furious. I'm absolutely apoplectic with rage. Normally, what I do when I write a script is, for these particular videos, is I normally don't script them out. I don't have all the answers before I start writing the script. So I kind of just go through, do my research, and start writing as I go along. So this rage that I am exhibiting is not fake. This is happening as I'm writing the script. I am, as I said, apoplectic with rage.
I write as I learn and vice versa. And Inception is my favorite, by far, Christopher Nolan movie, followed by Memento. So I am strongly biased towards it. But honestly, what I just discovered just now writing the script is shocking. Now, it was always a part of the movie that I just kind of didn't fully question. I was always dubious about Michael Caine's character. For me, it was more a case of, it's Michael Caine. He has to be in a Nolan movie, right? And for that reason, I never fully delved into who he was. It didn't really make sense to me when I was watching the film for the first, second, third, fourth time that the man was so forgiving and jovial of the passing away of his daughter. So it always made me question, who the hell is he? Is he actually Mal's father? But I always thought he can't be because he's Michael Caine. And I always thought, why is he in the house at the end of the film when he worked in Paris? But it didn't matter to me because I loved the film. Additionally, I never delved into how Sato could remove his criminal record. And it turns out there's a reason why I completely overlooked everything. I was saving myself from a huge disappointment. This movie literally makes no sense. All the motivations for the characters are questionable at best, ethically and morally horrendous at worst. The logic does not track. Why would Cobb commit crime on a grand scale like corporate espionage, which carries a sentence of up to 10 years when he did not commit a crime in the first place? An allegation, an accusation they could easily have fought with a good lawyer or a team of good lawyers based on the amount of money they had. For national security-related espionage, you can get life imprisonment or even the death penalty. Being part of a conspiracy to remove your criminal record when you illegally have infiltrated people's minds and dreams and making them do things that affect the American economy on a grand scale is bordering on national security, surely. Not to mention the fact that as a father and as a human being, it's hardly something to be proud of. Notwithstanding that, how can he float around the world undetected by the US government and not be extradited? But putting those minor, and I say minor sarcastically, minor complications to one side, why do any of this when your kids are in Paris?
You want to go home to America to see your kids, even though your kids are not in America. Make that make sense. That is nonsensical.
Why not just see them in Paris while you're there recruiting people for your illegal mission to infiltrate people's minds? Now, you may say because he wants to see them in peace without the fear of being caught. To that I say,
get a damn good lawyer and do not commit crime on a grand scale to make up for the crime you didn't commit in the first place. Instead, get a damn good lawyer. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but as you can tell, you know what? I'm going to calm down again. I can't do this. I can't do this. You can't do this. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but no, this couldn't happen in real life. It's too dumb. I don't think I've ever been so mad at a movie before. Now, don't worry, Inception, you're still my favourite Christopher Nolan movie, for now. But the shortcomings in his film Tenet, where people consistently told me, don't think about the plot, just enjoy the film, are all coming into focus right now. Does this man just make nonsensical movies? The research in this video has got me questioning just a few things.
How did no one know that Bourdain had a twin? How did Batman unbreak his back and get into secured Gotham, even though no one can get out of secured Gotham? Why did Michael Caine wait to the very last minute to contact Mr. Coop to send him to space to save the day? Why was Tenet even made? Who financed that?
And this job, this last job, that's how I get there. I would not be standing here if I knew any other way.
I'm gonna get a great job without him. I'm gonna marry me a beautiful honey, and I'm having me a whole bunch of kids. I'm gonna be a better father than he ever was. And I sure as hell don't need him for that, because ain't a damn thing he could ever teach me about how to love my kids. How come he don't want me, man?
Okay, I'm done here, but in the comments, let me know what you think should be the next movie that I analyze and deconstruct, and hopefully it doesn't make me just as crazy as I was in this video. I do apologize. Listen, if you liked the video, why not hit the like button? If you didn't like it, well, you know what? Thank you for watching. Until the next one.